Well, it's great to have you all back. It's been an amazing week. I hope you had a great week because I sure did. Okay, so as we do every Sunday, we want to keep ingraining our thought. We want to reawaken. You know, the Zohar says that it's difficult for us after the way we come into this world with, we come into this world really with what's left over from our past life. And then sadly, as we all know, we've got some karma, or we call it tikkun, left from our past life. Some negative things that we've done, etc. Why? Because we believe the lies that we have been trained to believe. And so you and I hear the whole power of what we do. In fact, Rav Ashlag, the founder of the Kabbalah Center, which is now, we're in our 100th year. If you've been on Kabbalah.com, you see banners all over that this is our 100th year. We're going to celebrate in September, around the new cosmic year. But Rav Ashlag always called this the wisdom of truth. In fact, one of his books we call The Wisdom of Truth, because our job is to keep reminding ourselves not only what is the truth, but actually engrave it inside of us. In fact, just briefly, the Kabbalists write in the Zohar, it's explained when we stood on Mount Sinai, and it says that God engraved the tablets, right, with all this wisdom and the power of immortality, etc. Well, the Zohar explains, don't just call it engraved, and I won't give you all the Aramaic Hebrew understanding, but he says you can also, the word for engraved is the same letters as the word for freedom. So our job is to be free of the illusion, free of the negativity, and free of all the lies, and that's why we always start out with our affirmation. So those of you here, yes. Look how good I'm getting, even with technology. So we're going to say it together. Those of you out there in cyberspace, following us from around the world, I again appreciate some of you making a great effort to be up in the middle of the night or in the middle of the morning. Together, consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. Let's see how we can work that into today, yes? So, how many of you ever heard somebody tell you, what could I do? I had no choice. They made me do that. Nobody here wants to admit it. How about you guys out there? Right? We've all heard people say that. What could I do? I had no choice. But is it not true when we start, especially if you've learned Kabbalah 1 at least, we always have a choice. There's no such thing as no choice. So we want to start thinking about how sometimes we, as well as people around us, we think like that. I had no choice. I have no choice. Sometimes there's a tough situation shows up and people feel like they have no choice. Or if you're a Libra like me, sometimes you have too many choices. Don't know which to choose, right? Or, like some of you who aren't Libra, already made my choice, already made my decision. So we want to get into it because, as I wrote on Facebook, we want to understand what choices we have, where they came from, and we ultimately want to get to the level of having no choice. We want to have no choice, because if you look at any great righteous person, any great sage, essentially they had no choice. As simple as you read in the Bible, right? Whatever God told Moses to do, that's what he did. Now, you could say he had a choice, but we'll get into that. Ultimately, he had no choice. And that's where we want to go, because that level we will call today of no choice is actually the level of righteousness, purity, as we often talk about, eternal bliss. Peace, harmony, and serenity. So let's start to look at, Kabbalistically, what's our primordial choice? What's the primordial eternal pattern? Because whatever the pattern of the upper worlds, whatever that is, that's exactly what this world is patterned on. And so we'll be able to see how it fits what goes on here. So we go to something called the endless world, and in the endless world, what did the Creator do? The Creator gave us free choice. But how did the Creator give us free choice? He gave us, because free choice means that there's things to choose from. If there's only one thing in the world, I guess technically, I hear you already saying, you have the choice either to take it, get it, do it, or not. But in essence, if there's only one thing, there's only really not much of a choice, right? So what's happened in the endless world? How did the Creator give us free will? One, the Creator created us as a vessel. What we call a vessel means we were created with a desire to receive lasting fulfillment from the light of God. That's it. Desire to receive the light. That's all. Now, what did the Creator then do? And if you're not familiar, go on Kabbalah.com, review Kabbalah 1. The Creator filled us with light. The nature of the vessel, as we said, desire to receive fulfillment, desire to receive the blessing of the light, and gave us, filled our vessel, our soul, with light. The light is the nature of sharing. It's inherently just like physical light. Again, the spiritual light is the eternal pattern. The physical light is based on that. So you turn a light on in any space on earth, the light will extend out. It will illuminate. It will take away darkness and instantaneously replace it with light. So what's our real free will? What's our primordial free will? Eternally is only this. We can either act like the vessel or act like the light. That's it. Let it be simple. You and I like to think simple, at least I do. And so I try and boil everything down for me and for you at the same time. Simplicity. We only have one choice. Act like the light, act like the vessel. Because that's who we are. Now, here's where the glitch comes in. When we decided collectively, because there's only one of us technically in the endless world, there's only one soul, one vessel, we collectively decided that it wasn't enough just to have light inside of us. We wanted, and again, this is from our point of view, not from the Creator's point of view. From our point of view, we wanted to be able to share that light, because in the sharing of the light, that's where the revelation comes in, and therefore the experience of happiness, joy, fulfillment, serenity, peace, harmony comes from. Not from having it inside of us, but expressing it, like anything in this world. What would happen if the Beatles, all of you remember the Beatles? Even my kids now, as much as they teased me when they were growing up, now they all listen to the Beatles. Yes, ha ha ha. Okay, so what would happen if George and Paul had just kept inside of them this wonderful music? They could hear it in their head, the words were showing up in front of their eyes spiritually, but they never wrote it. What would happen then? They never played it. They never played that music. Think of what we would have lost. So similarly, it's not enough for us to have the light inside of us. Our work was to come here and express it, as we often call it, be like God. The trouble is when we came into this world, we also fell into the illusion, we fell into the influence of five senses. And just briefly, let's think this way. You ever had a plan to go somewhere, do something, you wake up in the morning and you're already plotting and planning how you're going to deal with your day, what meetings you're going to have, who you're going to call, etc. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, or what we might say nothingness, comes this thought. Do something else. Go something. You get some idea that seems to come, the logic and everything telling us to go one direction, and suddenly this voice we hear tells us to go in the opposite direction. Ever happened to you? Yes? No? They contradict each other, yes? We call that other voice, the sixth sense, the intuition. As much as we will pay attention, probably 99 times out of 100, if not more, the intuition is usually the thing we should have listened to, even though it seems opposite to our logic, our five senses, our usual experience, usual way of operating, etc. So this is the glitch in this world, that whether it's the vessel or the light, we are influenced by those two voices in our head, one that only exists in this world, The other that comes from the endless world, our soul. This one in this world we call the opponent. The opponent is the one that wants to influence us to fall into the five senses, to stick only to the strict logic, experience, what we call practicality. And yet we've all had those experiences when we listen to that other voice, that sixth sense, it always seems to be right. It's always something when we don't listen, we should have listened to. When we do listen to it, that we're very thankful that we did listen to it. So we have that, which means then what? In this world, those two voices are encouraging us to behave its way. So the voice of the opponent, as we call it, is encouraging us to use our vessel, desire to receive, but adds on that little other part. Desire to receive for oneself alone. Thinking only of me, myself, and I. That's the encouragement of this opponent in my head. There's also the other. There's the encouragement of the light of the Creator, the light of my soul. That's also like, no, be like the light, share, find a way to illuminate other people's lives, find a way to act with unconditional love, find a way to manifest, reveal your light. That sixth sense that's coming in, awakening inside of you, express it out into the world. What the opponent does, as we could think about now, how many ways could we act like the light? How many ways can we act like the vessel? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions, billions. So we think we have all these choices in life, right? So many different things. Think back growing up. How many times did you change your career path? Between maybe 6 and 16, 6 and 18, things like that. I want to be a princess. I want to be a king. I want to be a fireman. I want to be this and this, right? And then 2 years later, oh, no, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be this. We keep changing. So we think there's a lot of choices out there. But I want us to really instill in our consciousness, there's only two choices in life. Only. Act like the light, act like the vessel. Receive or share. That's all there is. That's all there is. Now, I want to put this in our mind because it's going to play a big part as we continue here. Remember, it's essential to keep in our mind, one, that the Creator is all-powerful. Okay, no doubts here. The Creator is all good. Creator wants us to have infinite bliss, lasting fulfillment, and gave us all the capability to do that. And if the Creator is all-powerful, and therefore every intention that the Creator has will be manifest, then this universe is going in only one direction, the direction of the Creator's intention, which is to give every human being on earth absolute fulfillment. The Kabbalists simply say, the Creator's desire is to give infinite bliss, infinite good to its creatures, to its creations, which is you and I. So then the universe is only going in one direction. So when we look around this world today, we see, oh, look at what's going on in the world. It's so chaotic and all the problems and this, that, and the other thing. We got to realize there's no such thing. Everything's moving in only one direction. But let's see how that plays out. So going back to our idea of a choice. So we have choices to make. Even within the frames of light and vessel, like we said, desire to receive oneself alone, hundreds, thousands of ways we can act. Within the frame of the light, thousands and millions and billions of ways to act. But as much as we think we have a choice, and we do have a choice, do we listen to the light or we listen to the opponent? Once a human being does an action, once we've set a cause or something in motion by our actions, we know, all of us I'm sure believe, what goes around comes around. The laws of cause and effect. Action, reaction, or they call it now the law of attraction. But here's the thing that we don't often realize. Once we set something in motion, you and I have no choice how our actions are going to come back to us. We have no choice when, where, how, through whom, what, what kind of situations, etc. That we have no choice. We think we did. Why? Because the opponent makes us think. Did you choose to take a certain path in life? Did you choose to become whatever your profession is? Maybe you did. You chose, or you chose the classes you were going to take, and you chose you were going to get an A in that class. You studied hard, you worked hard, etc., and you got the A. So part of us right now, the opponent's saying, oh, no, Chaim, don't tell me that we have no choice what comes back to us, because I've seen. I did this, and this happened. I plotted and planned this, and this came about. Okay, so let me ask you then. Did anything ever unexpected happen to you? No, you can't remember? All the time. So if something unexpected happened to us, let's even say just for good, something good happened. How was that our choice? If it's unexpected, it's not our choice. Okay, I studied hard, I did well on the test, I got an A. Could say I expected that, and look, this is the form it took. Yes, that's possible. But in the big picture of things, in the long run, we have no choice how it's going to come back. Because even that, let me ask you, so you plotted and planned certain things in your life, maybe in your 20s and 30s, and maybe some of you even your 40s. Did you ever have a change? Did it ever go another way? I've often shared the story. I plotted and planned since I was a kid I was going to be a doctor. I wanted to remove pain, suffering, and death from the world. So I got all the way to college, pre-med, getting ready to graduate. I'm starting to apply to medical schools. My mother died. I went in a different direction. Unexpected. I certainly didn't plan on my mother dying, but my desire to remove pain and suffering and death from the world is still the same. And I believe after 35 years in the center that this is the ultimate way to bring people to not only a wisdom and an understanding, but giving every person who comes to learn here the wisdom, the tools, and the support, how to actually make it happen. So the original intent I had is coming to fruition. But on the physical material world, it's changed. I changed from being a doctor. I went through 10 years of different spiritual studies till I was dropped in the Kabbalah Center in 1987, and here I've been ever since. So it looks like life has gone different directions. But what's important to understand is whatever our real intention is, that's what ultimately will be manifest. So like we all say, yes, I had the intention XYZ in this situation with this person. But did you really? How many times did you enter into a relationship? Yes, because you want to be married. You want to have that committed relationship. You really feel that. But it never worked out. You say to yourself, Chaim, I had the intention. I had all the good intention. I really made an effort with this person and the other person and the next person and the next person. But did you ever really look in the mirror deeply? Did you ever really look inside your true thinking and realize maybe you didn't believe you're lovable? Maybe you don't believe you're worthy. Maybe you don't believe you're capable. Or as we're saying today, in simple terms, maybe your desire for a committed relationship was for what you are going to get from the other person, what you are going to receive, not what you are going to share. And yet the only reason we came into this world is to share like the Creator shares, unconditionally. Could be with a business, could be with health. Everybody wants good health, but how many people do you know say, yes, they want good health, want good health, want good health, and they really want good health, and this and that. But you see, they're not taking care of themselves, but they want good health while they're eating the wrong foods, while they're doing the wrong things. So we have to understand the way things show up once we've acted is not our choice. Whose choice is it then? Who decides what comes back to us from our actions? That's the truth. Kabbalah 1, I think it's now the fourth rule in the tool. My soul, your soul, with our karma, or as we call it, tikkun, looks at the big picture, and our soul decides, one, what's our real intent? Two, what do we really need to come back from the actions we did that will push us in the direction of getting eternal bliss, which is what the Creator set in motion from the endless world. Remember, there is only one direction. It's only forward. Now, what it looks like is different for different people. Look at the world. Some people having a great time these last 2 years. Found a new profession, found a new job, found new relationships, found new things about themselves, talents and abilities to bring out and use. Other people with the same experiences, the same situations, fell down, fell into all kinds of negativity, unfortunately. So you can't say it's the circumstances that decide what people get. It's how we act. It's what we do. So then our job is to understand, as the Kabbalists teach us, that for our own good, we want to look back, or we want to look forward, basically, and understand whatever comes our way is our soul giving us a message. This is how you have not been acting like the light, so start acting like the light. So as we learn, even the challenges and the difficult situations are also for our good, because the universe is moving only in that one direction. Only in one direction. Some of you know the story of Rabbi Akiva, and just to make it simple, he was out, you're talking about 2,000 years ago. So he was out traveling, he was going to visit some town, and along the way, as he's entering a town and it's getting dark, so he wants to, find a place to stay, everybody brushes him off, pushes him away, nobody gives him anything, so he's got to go out in the field, basically sleep in the field. So as the story goes, just briefly, his donkey gets stolen, the rooster that was going to wake him up gets eaten by a mountain lion or whatever it is, and the little candle he had to have some kind of illumination, the wind blows it out. So fortunately, Rabbi Akiva understood everything was for his good. Everything was for his good. And the bottom line of the story is what happened. The next day, the town is overrun by whoever, the negative people, coming to just, ransack the town and kill people. And because the donkey couldn't make a noise, the rooster couldn't make a noise, and the candle was out, he wasn't seen, he wasn't found, he survived. So was it bad? Sure, in the first moment, like you and I would say, bad, terrible. But in the big picture, after the fact, we see how good it is. There was a guy years ago in the center, had a small car accident. Nothing major. When the EMTs came and they looked at him, they said, no, we're not going to release you until you go to the hospital. So he went to the hospital. They did, because he kind of banged his head a little bit, but he seemed okay. So they did whatever, MRI on his head, and they found out he had the beginnings of brain cancer. So was it good or bad he had the accident? He would have said in the beginning, bad. Not only the accident was bad, not so much damage, but also they made him waste his time in his mind to go get checked out. They were going to release him. In the end of the story, it saved his life. Had another student a few years ago, stockbroker, made a mistake in ordering a stock for a client. Thought it was the worst mistake in his career. I'm just seeing if you can read my mind. 2 weeks later, it turned out to be the best buy he ever made. Let's look at us. Ever happened to you? Something you thought was bad, something you thought was challenged, something you thought was an obstacle, traumatic. Did it ever turn good? Yeah, I know, I can hear. Yeah, Chaim, but what about the other times that it stayed bad? Okay. Maybe we didn't put enough effort. Maybe it's still kind of trying to remind us, find where you're not sharing and start shining your light. The Creator gave us a soul full of light to shine out into the world so we could have eternal peace and serenity. But if we don't shine it out, for whatever reason, we lose first. You're in a dark room with a nasty person. You know there's obstacles. You got to get to the door. Do you say to yourself with a flashlight in hand, I'm not going to turn the flashlight on because I don't want that nasty person to find their way to the door? Meanwhile, you're tripping over the chair, you're falling in this place, you're hitting the table leg. Who's losing? No, you want to turn on the light. Okay. In fact, you turn on the light. Spiritually, what does it mean? The person who's nasty, the light goes on, they're going to also be illuminated. They're going to see the error of their ways. Just don't expect it to happen immediately. It may, but it may not. Meanwhile, you're illuminated, you're avoiding the obstacles, and you get out the door and can move away from that negative person. Leave yourself in the dark with a flashlight in your hand, you're a fool twice. Because you're going to keep falling over things, that person's going to keep falling over things, and you got to hang out with that nasty person for a lot longer than you would have liked. You can never lose by awakening and sharing the light. So everything for our good, but remember we have that opponent, that competitor in our head. That's an add-on. It's not really us, but it's an add-on that we put there as a safety valve, a safety net. If we're falling a little behind in our moving forward to eternal bliss, peace and harmony and serenity, this competitor is going to show us where and how we need to share more. It's there. But part of its operating system is to give us a lot of choices. So we think we have free will. Should I run away from the person? Or should I, scream and yell in their face? Well, we said there's only two options. Act like the vessel, act like the light. So those two choices basically are still based on my desire to receive oneself alone. I'll run away so I have relief, or I'll get in their face and I'll start screaming and be aggressive till they run away. Still no light being revealed. But that's the power of the opponent. Make us think that we have choices when all he's doing is giving us different options to be reactive. And what happens when we're reactive? Feels great. Get in their face. Yell at them. Put them down. Show them who's boss. They back off. They walk away. Powerful. Wow, I'm so great. But then 5 minutes later, think back. Think back to a time you were reactive. You feel great for the moment. And then what happens? Then how fast does the joy and happiness disappear? Why? Because we are good people and we know better. So you can say, yeah, but I got rid of them. They moved away. They kowtowed. They backed off. They apologized, whatever it is. Sure. But the residual energy inside us doesn't feel good. Because we do know better. And after those 5 minutes of glorious feeling, it disappears. The Rav and Karen always taught us like light bulbs. Anybody still have an old light bulb? I don't know if the new ones work that way. I think they just go dead, right? But you remember the old incandescent ones? Just before it blew up, huge burst of light, and then instantaneously darkness, because it stopped restricting, the filament broke. So similarly, remember, that's the sign for us of how it works spiritually. When you act in a reactive way, instant gratification, but it's short term. Like the light bulb, explodes. 100-watt light bulb glows for a microsecond, 1,000, 2,000 watts, and then it goes dark. Then it goes dark. Same with our life. And again, as we often talk about, you and I, because we know better, and because we are good people, and we want to be better, that's when the guilt and the shame awakens in us a lot faster than other people out there. Essentially, it's only good people have guilt and shame. Eventually, the people who don't feel it, they will, because remember, the universe is moving in that direction. But as much as we have that opponent that's trying to give us 1,000 ways to act in a reactive way, and it speaks very loudly in our head. At the same time, there's also the voice of our soul, the voice of the Creator inside of us. It's also advising us what to do. It's also giving us ideas. They're usually not the way we want it to go. Like we said in the beginning, our logic will tell us to go one way, our experience is one way, and then that other voice will come out of left field and tell us to go the opposite way. But as we've said, 99 times out of 100 or more, that's the right thing to do, even though it seems illogical. So the voice of the light will also seem illogical. Here's a nasty person, and what will the voice of the light tell us? You know what? Apologize. And what will the opponent say immediately? Apologize? When hell freezes over, I'll apologize. Wait until they beg my forgiveness, and then I'll forgive them. Oh yeah, people here relating to that. Of course, today maybe hell is freezing over, at least in some parts of the world. So then today, because why? It seems illogical. Why should I apologize to the nasty person? Because like we said, I want to be free. I want to be free. So I can either hold on, and here, let me ask you, since I know all of you who are watching are good people, how many of you still have a little resentment, a little anger, a little hurt from something that somebody did 10, 20, 30 years ago? Still with you a little bit? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And maybe they're not even in the world anymore. So then who's really making you feel bad? Is it really them? Maybe they're not. Maybe they're in the physical world, but you haven't seen them for those 20, 30 years. So who's making you feel bad if you're still holding resentment and hurt and anger and guilt? And you are. We are. We are in control. That's why Is the Creator limited in any way, shape, or form? No, because it's sharing 24/7, unconditionally. Our job to do the same. Now, here's the glitch, at least temporarily. When we act, let's say like that. So let's say you go to that nasty person, you say, I just want to apologize. Whatever I may have done hurt you or caused you pain. Don't expect to feel great in that moment. That's the way the opponent keeps us addicted to reactive behavior. Here's instant gratification, then it goes away. Here's more instant gratification when we act again, and then it goes away. And so we're addicted to that short-term instant gratification. On the other side, the way to change that, acting like the light, you act like the light, you're not going to get the instant gratification. Here and there, you may instantly feel good about your action. Not because they act a different way, or they tell you how great you are, or you immediately find your soulmate, get a new job, find the money on the street, something. No, it may not be that way. But in the long run, when you've apologized, even though they were nasty, and you walk away, because we do know the difference, we do know what's the right thing to do, then we feel better about ourselves and the situation. We move forward with more peace, more harmony, and what's the universe going to bring us back? More peace and harmony. Again, we don't have choice how it shows up, when it shows up, but whenever it shows up, it's going to be the best thing for us. And that's what we have to have trust in, that's the way the universe works. It is completely cause and effect to the most minute detail. Nothing random, nothing accidental, nothing happenstance. Everything is for our good. Now, how are we going to shift it? How do we shift from all the reactive behavior that's left inside of us, the influence of that opponent, competitor in our head, shift it to be able to listen to the voice of the light, our soul, our true self, the one that wants us to go on the path of eternal bliss? How do we shift it? So some of you I can hear already, you took Kabbalah 1, but we're going to look at it a little differently. Pause and think. Pause before you react. They triggered you. They said something terrible, nasty, judgmental, whatever it was, and you're about to give them what for? Pause and think. The universe is going only in one direction. The ultimate destination of every human being on earth is heaven on earth, that eternal bliss. Pause and think. How fast do you want to get there? How fast do you want to get to your peace of heaven on earth, your peace of eternal bliss, your peace of actually protection, peace, harmony, serenity, a sphere, a bubble in the midst of all this darkness and chaos in the world? How fast do you want to get there? If you want to go fast, then pause when you're thinking, then ask yourself, how do I act like the light in this situation? and listen to the voice of your soul, because it is broadcasting all the time. But be willing to hear and do what it's telling you, because that's the fast track to get to your peace of bliss and having more and more along the way. Or you can go the slow way. It's up to you. The universe going in one direction. Just look at yourself. How many of you still have a repetitive pattern of something not so pleasant in your life? No repetitive patterns here? Okay, just me. Exactly. So, how long you want that to happen? How long? Here's the other part. Our reactive behavior, right? Because that's why the things keep repeating. Because our soul's saying, here, we'll give you another chance, right? Person said something nasty, you scream and yell, instant gratification, they go away. 5 minutes later, you feel bad, like we said, because you know better. Then something happened. You're driving on the street. Some driver does something foolish. And again, you scream and yell. You feel good in the moment. Then you don't feel so good afterwards. It keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. So when we're pausing and thinking and you're looking back on those kinds of situations, ask yourself, not only how fast do you want to get to your peace on earth, your peace, was it worth it? Was it worth it to scream and yell? Was it worth it to put them down? Was it worth them to be resentful? Was it worth it to be impatient? Was it worth it to be jealous? Was it worth it to be egotistical? Yes, it does pay in the moment. But how many things have you and I ever done spontaneous in the moment? Simplest thing. Feeling a little down, you happen to go, the car happens to drive you to the mall, and you just buy something right there and then. Feel good. Feels good. Yes? Nobody has retail therapy here? Exactly. Feels good. You take it home, and then the next day you look at yourself, oh my God, why did I do such a stupid thing? Never happened to you anything like that? You act reactive in the moment. So now we're learning. Pause. Think. Is it worth it? Has it been worth it before? If you look back 100 times and it hasn't been worth it, don't think that suddenly the universe is going to change its way of operating just for you, so this time it'll be worth it. No, the only thing that's lasting fulfillment is the light, because the only thing that's eternal is the light. So then remember, here we are. We want to move forward. We want to get to our goal. What's our real goal? Achieving as quickly as possible peace on earth, at least our piece of peace on earth, and draw other people with us. Because I want to get there fast. Think of how old you are. Just the number, not how old you are, but how the number says. And figure, it's taken that long just to come to this awakening. Okay, the beautiful part is, if it took you however many years those are, fast track. I like that, right? The fast track. Everybody wants a fast track. So let's take the fast track. Kabbalah Center. I got a new tagline. Kabbalah Center. Fast track to peace and harmony. Fast track to eternal bliss. But it's the merciful way. It's not only fast, it's the merciful way. So, as we started out, I would like us all to understand that it's our choice to get to the level of no choice. We said, like a Moses, like all the great sages, all the great righteous people. Yes, technically they still had the two voices in their head, but they reached a level where they chose not to choose. In other words, we don't want to give the opponent and space in our thinking. We don't want to give the choice to that opponent to make us have a choice. We want to give ourselves no choice. I am determined, committed. I'm going to act like the light all the time. I'm going to listen only for the voice of the light. I have no choice. So it's not that we don't have free will. We're learning how to use our free will to choose more and more. To have no choice but to act like the light, to act like our true self, to act like our enlightened beings, to act like our God self. Because as the Zohar said, I just saw it yesterday, in the section of Mishpatim if you want to look it up. As we choose to be with the light, as we choose to be more and more on this path of unconditional love, kindness, sharing, etc., then we are considered, as the Zohar calls us, we are children of God. We are children of God, sons and daughters of God. So then our job is to choose our goal, and ideally we've awakened today the greater desire to choose to have no choice, to only follow the path of the light. Because this all-powerful creator that intended us to have eternal bliss, and we said that's the way the world's going, we can't stop it from happening. It's happening more and more every day. Unfortunately, that's why there's also an intensity of all the darkness and negativity, because that's all being pushed in one direction. So we can see where we have not acted like the light. But we have the power. We have the power to fight the forward movement. We have the power to try and hold on to our positions, or as the Rav and Karen always called it, hug our chaos. We have the power to try and not move forward. But it's pretty painful. We've experienced enough of it. Or, like I heard Karen yesterday, we could choose to stay stubborn. I don't want to move forward because life is unfair, and it's not fair and it's not just that those bad people are getting good things. So Karen told the story, if you read To Be Continued, she explains it in the beginning. But the bottom line is, you and I are limited. What we see in this world that looks unfair and unjust, what we feel about our lives that would seem to be unfair and unjust, when we stand back and see a bigger picture, whether we look at our entire life this time, or we come to understand what we have done in past lives, then we see everything is exactly cause and effect. It's exactly for our good. It's exactly the opportunities that we need to pay off our debt of anger, jealousy, judgment, guilt, shame, with greater love, kindness, and compassion that we affirm in the beginning. So we can go with the light, we can go with the flow, we can go with unconditional sharing, we can focus on being the light because we want to only attract light, and the choice is ours. The choice is not up to anybody else. So pause, think, and choose well, because your destiny depends on it. God bless. Thank you. So I do want to do a meditation. We have, again, one of our 72 names, but we're going to do that after we do our offering. And again, I want to thank you, as I do each week, because we cannot grow the center. We cannot, number one, even maintain the center without your support so that we can be here. We cannot grow the projects of the center unless we have your support. And the beauty is, again, it's win-win. The more you're supporting more people to come learn here, the more people coming to use the tools and the technology make their life better, then the world is also better for you. Because you've put out more light, you get more light. So I posted now, for those of you online, just do the meditation, and then we'll do the meditation on one of the 72 names. As you see, a few of them behind us here, but we have one in particular. So just hold, for those of you here, hold your offering in your hand. Remember, everything in this physical world is a vessel. Everything. Our bodies are vessel, the people in our lives are vessel, everything we have, physical material, they're vessels. What it does for others and what it brings back to us depends on the intention and the energy we put in, which is why we now want to put in this good energy. So just hold it in your hand, injecting your love, your light, your gratitude, appreciation for all the blessings the Creator has given you, the talents and abilities that have brought you the resources you have, and the understanding of the laws of the universe, that you know what you put out into the world with this intention of being like God, sharing your light, revealing your light to help awaken others, that we know with certainty it will come back, it will bring us great blessings, It will bring us guidance, clarity, the solutions to whatever's weighing heavy on our mind. It will support us to open our heart, to connect with the light in the heart and soul of every person on earth, piercing through their outer behavior to see and to connect with the peace of God in them and in us. And so we send this offering through the center out into the world to bring unity, peace, love, and serenity to the world. Together we say, Amen. So I have one of the 72 names that I'd like to use today. Those of you here, there it is. For those of you unfamiliar, these are called what you see behind me, the 72 names of God, which simply are attributes, powers of God. So in this case, what you see in front of you, because just briefly, the Hebrew letters or the Aramaic letters, they are not a construct of any human being. They are primordial. They came out of the endless world. As with our bodies are not a construct of any human being. They came manifest from the energy of the soul that came out of the endless. So what you see in front of you are three bodies to three primordial energies. And in this case, Hey, Hey, Ein. When you combine those energies, it awakens unconditional love. So I'd like you just to look at it, let the shapes and the energy that radiates from them enter through your eyes into your heart, awakening the light of unconditional love in your soul. And then if I can ask you to sit comfortably, feet flat on the floor, hands comfortably on your lap. Take a couple deep breaths to relax, breathing in through the nose. Hold the breath for a moment. Exhale through the mouth. Just to create a circulation of the light of the Creator, which is the breath of life. Bringing it in through the nose. Hold the breath, let it awaken more of that light force in you. And then exhale to release any blockage and to share this light. And now let's envision the name of God, Hey, Hey, Ein. Just let those energies awaken a greater sense of unconditional love from the Creator to you. To feel and to have an awakening through the Hey, Hey, Ein awakening of at least one experience in your life that you thought was bad. But now as you're looking with new eyes, with this power of unconditional love, how you can see from that experience, actually good came from it, even if it was a greater awareness that you're more deserving and worthy of good in your life, of greater peace, kindness, prosperity, health. That's also the awakening of good. That's also in the direction of greater good. Hey, Hey, Ein. To feel more and more of the unconditional goodness and love the Creator gives each and every one of us. It's constantly showering on this world. It's infinite light. And now each one, think of one situation in your life that's been blocked. where you've held something other than unconditional love towards some person. See the wall, the shell that you placed between you and that person. Realize it's also a wall and a blockage, an obstacle between you and other people in your life, between you and the true blessings of your soul from being manifest in your life. And use the power and the support, not only of the Hey Hey Ein, but also of the unity of those of us doing this meditation together. And shine a beam of light that God planted in your heart and soul. Shine it out through that shell, through that wall, directly to the heart and soul of that person. And see that light now expanding and radiating to every part of them, head to toe, helping them to realize their limitations, the negative behavior, and the negative influence they've been under. And see them having an awakening of the awareness of God inside them, and that their true blessings come from sharing, caring, loving, forgiving, being grateful. And now let's see the light, this beam of light that we've drawn from the upper worlds through the Hey Hey Ein, through us to them. See it going out of them also as a beam. That it's surrounding, enveloping, illuminating. As we do it all together, all 8 billion people on the planet. Hey Hey Ein, being awakened inside the heart and soul of each person on earth. That right now, thoughts are awakened inside them. The voice of their soul, the voice of the Creator inside them is awakened. The volume going up. The voice is loud. To be more loving, more kind, more forgiving, more compassionate. And also the clarity in their mind, in their spiritual eyes, of the goodness and the blessings that return to them for radiating more light, for acting more light-like. Let's envision together all humanity rushing to help somebody else, to share with other people, to be more godlike, and then to feel the goodness inside them that's awakened from those actions, that strengthens their desire to continue on that path, that we can all achieve peace, harmony, not only for ourselves, but for all humanity, quickly, with mercy, now. Just allow yourself to be immersed in this energy. Allow it to be imprinted in your heart, soul, mind, and spiritual eyes. Hey, hey, Ein. Keep it with you more clearly, more consistently from this moment forward. And we take one more deep breath to anchor and solidify this consciousness, and then exhale and slowly open your eyes. Thank you, those of you here in Boca, those of you following us around the world. Appreciate your being with us. Have an amazing week. Have a great day, great afternoon, and amazing week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless. Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com, that's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.